Welcome to today's quick win. You're going to love this episode as we explore the number one personality type of the Enneagram. Now, we all know that people are not always easy. However, when we understand why they do what they do, we can better navigate the diversity of relationships in our lives. This episode forms part of our Enneagram series where we unpack the wonderful world of personality types and we get to know ourselves and others as we expand our understanding of the human landscape. If you have not yet listened to episode 38, which introduces the Enneagram, I strongly recommend you pause here and listen to that first. Today, we explore the number one personality type, the Perfectionist. We explore the belief behind this type, what they avoid, what they are seeking, what assumptions they make about life, what they deny, their talking style, and most importantly, their strengths. Additionally, we speak to two self-aware dear friends of mine who have embraced their personality type, transcended the hold it once had on them, and successfully live out their incredible strengths as this number. As we explore this personality type today, think about those you love and those that you sometimes bump into, and of course, see how this relates to you. Get yourself comfy as we dive into today's quick win. Let's do it. Are you ready to work less, stress less, and make more money? I bet you're tired of working really hard, putting in crazy hours, and still not getting the results you know you deserve. How about we swap constant overwhelm for ease and grace and take your business to the next level? Imagine having absolute certainty with every decision you make. There's a way you can achieve it all without losing yourself. I'm Deb Field, quick win coach, business boss and keep it simple CEO. I've been successfully taking small, medium and large businesses to the next level for decades. Want to learn how? Go grab your favourite cuppa. I'm about to share powerful quick wins you can apply today. Let's create business magic with your heart at the centre of everything you do. Everyone has that friend or family member that needs things a certain way, or that appears to judge others a little bit more harshly than we expect, or that have an incredible eye for detail, with perhaps a touch of OCD or a huge passion for storage solutions. Yep, we know that person, right? We love our number ones in the Enneagram. However, we also know they suffer with preoccupations that adversely impact their enjoyment of life. For context, the number one forms part of the instinctive or body type group, which consists of the 8, the 9 and the 1 personality types. People who identify with either an 8, 9 or 1 type relate more to their body than their mind or feelings. They have common problems with repression and aggression, which they handle in very different ways. All three of these types can also be seen as resisting some part of their experience to maintain ego boundaries, especially by defensively resisting the influence of others in different ways. Now, before I jump into the number one, just a word of advice. Listen to all of the numbers before you determine where you lie. Then go back and re-listen to the numbers that resonate for you to hear the information again with a full context view. Now, in the show notes, there will be links to information to support you to discover more about the Enneagram and a special offer for those who may want a workshop for their employees in their business. Now, I can say from experience that teams that understand and have empathy for each other become close, work better together, and feel appreciated and respected for their strengths. So here we go. The number one is often known as the Perfectionist, or the reformer, or the ruler, the judge, or the critic. The Perfectionist is principled and orderly and can be at times a bit self-righteous. Their core belief is, I need to be perfect. Now, it doesn't mean they are perfect with their lives in order. It just means they believe they need to be perfect. They assume that they would need to be perfect before they can create what they want in life. And often this results in self-judgment or not starting things they need to get done. Now, their compensating strategies in life mean they avoid doing things unless it can be done perfectly. They avoid criticism by appearing perfect Or they can be defensive or deflect criticism onto someone or something else. Now, as a personality, they appear a little bit self-righteous or a bit judgmental and can often be critical of others and self. But the self-criticism we don't see, it's all internal. They are keen for themselves to be seen as perfect. That's an important factor. They want approval for being good and often talk about things that show they or others are good, right? It's all around being good. They deny the dark side in themselves and in life. This means they have a bit of difficulty accepting anything negative about themselves or criticism, or constructive criticism for that matter, and will defend others more than normal. So they can defend the underdog. They get right in there. They avoid being judged, being bad, or seen as bad, and they avoid any anger where possible. They seek peace and relief and resolution, and this can sometimes look like withdrawing or taking time out. Now, their talking style can be a little preachy or judgmental at times. So the body type, the 8, 9 and 1s, all have a relationship to anger. So remember, that's the body type, right? So it's kind of like a physical thing. So the number 1s internalize their anger, often in the form of self-judgment. The strengths of the 1s, now this is what you want to hear, is their ability to relate impartially and act with wisdom and conviction. They have an incredible way of getting things sorted, and they have excellent attention to detail. I love having 1s in my business. I don't have anywhere near the ability to get things right, and so I always ask my number 1 to check things, fix my mistakes, help sort things out, and help run things better. They are such an asset. As a friend, they always remind you of your strengths and provide amazing value when you seek feedback and input to business changes. Now, to gain wisdom from the horse's mouth, let's hear from 2 amazing friends who are number 1s and who share their journey, the pain, and their approach to disempowering the beliefs that have caused them the pain in their lives. Today, I want to welcome a great friend who has done the journey. She is an amazing woman. She's got a passion for helping women step into their power and embrace their intuition and live a life of authenticity and purpose. She's got heaps of experience, over 30 years as a physiotherapist, and she's guided countless individuals on transformational journeys. She helps them achieve both personal and professional growth. But her true calling is this passion she has for energy work and the intuitive wisdom of horses. I kind of refer to her as a horse whisperer. She truly is one of those, right? She's an equine leadership facilitator, and she's recently launched an amazing book around perfectionism. Now, she's going to tell you more about that at the end, and certainly how you can get in contact with her. So I'd like to welcome Kristen to our podcast today. And she's going to divulge a little bit about herself and her journey through perfectionism. So welcome today, Kristen. How are you?
I'm very well. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Oh, that's awesome. Just before we kick off, do you want to tell the listeners a little bit more about you so they can understand who you are as we get into some of the nitty-gritty about the number 1 in the Enneagram?
Well, I am a past perfectionist. Obviously still have qualities of perfectionism, but I think I've learned to love them, which is actually one of the hardest things to do as a perfectionist. and to quite laugh at myself for the way that I deal with people or are triggered by people or react to people. And I've worked very hard on not reacting to people so much and grounding myself so that I can actually be more present with them and enjoy people's company rather than being annoyed at them all the time. Perfectionists are really great at attacking themselves, a lot of self-abuse, unconscious self-abuse, which comes out as pain and anger, and we project that out because it hurts too much to keep in. So a lot of our ways that we deal with people is surrounded by a lot of passive aggression and righteousness, and it's just a painful way to be. So I have worked really hard to not be that, and it's a fabulous at the end of the rainbow.
That's awesome. Look, I got to tell you, it's a big journey, isn't it? When you first
It is.
discover.
When I met you, we were doing this course, and
Yeah.
I was voted the queen of number one. So in a way, it was like 150 people in the room were clapping but laughing at you, because it's like you are the pinnacle. You are the harshest perfectionist there is out there, which is actually not quite the compliment that it could have been. So I've
Oh,
come a long way.
I feel for you because in all the learnings from the courses that we've done and the readings, the number one is actually the hardest number on the Enneagram board, if you like, to play life out because of that self-judgment and the kind of the avoidance of that dark side. So you're kind of almost like not even willing to go and look at it because it's just so painful. So I take my hat off to you. I think you're just amazing. You've not only transitioned and transformed yourself, you've written a book about it to help others, and I just think that's amazing. So big credit to you, Kristen, honestly. It's a big journey, hey?
It is. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no worries. So, I guess for our listeners, there's a couple of things. I've already explained to them what a number one is and the trials and tribulations of what they experience. But let's hear it from you because they'll resonate with you. What was it like, or still is it like, to be a very strong number one in the Enneagram?
Um, I think the biggest heartache for a one is it's painful. It's such a constant an analysis of how you fit in. Am I fitting in? Am I saying the right thing right now? Am I behaving the right way? Am I doing this perfectly? Am I going to be attacked? Am I, it's constant. The inner critic is so harsh and loud. And I think for me, I just numbed out to it so much. I went into like another kind of world to escape that a constant, it's like you've got a dagger and you're just stabbing yourself all the
Oh,
time.
wow.
And it hurts. A friend of mine who was a fellow number one used to say, you can stop the knife now, stop the knife attacking now, like, and it's a great visual because it's so unconscious and so it's the only thing because the inner critic is so loud and so when it's rolling well, it doesn't stop, and if you're like, oh, I did that really well, it will find something that you didn't do well and then it attack you for it, like, oh, I had a great laugh with this person. Well, you didn't say this quite right and you didn't do this right. And so it always has something to flip around and it finds some amount of information to attack you with. So it doesn't let up. And I even find now I it, it it's constantly you need constantly need to be on all the time, like, because you need
Right.
to show this persona of being perfect, which you aren't, and everyone else knows you're not.
Yeah.
Everyone else can see through the mask, but you think you're holding it together, but you're just not. And I think it was you actually. I keep told me once. Like, you really, can see the straight line on your face when you're trying to smile and be okay when you're clearly not behind it. And it's the first time I'd ever realized it. Oh my God, I'm not smiling. I feel like I am. I'm all okay, but I'm really not. And it's I think what's the hardest thing was that it's constant, it's loud, and because it's so loud, there is no other element that comes in to show itself. Like, now that I've done a lot with my intuition, it was a soft, very soft voice. And when it's so soft, and the inner critic is so loud, it's pretty impossible to hear it. And I think for
Yeah.
me, I had a massive, like, I got divorced. It kind of shattered my life, and I actually had to I actually saw the world it was different to what I'd grown up, and I kind of shattered back into the real world, if you like, and I felt I had no skills to deal with it. So it was I think I started that journey. I realized life was I had constant headaches that were emotional, like, and I knew they were emotional, so I actually sought some help and said, "Can you just?" I remember her saying to me, "What do you want out of these sessions?" And I said, "I just want to stop the headaches, and I know I'm causing them." So, and that's the first time I realized that I was doing it to me. You know, I created this, so I can change it.
Yeah, wow. What an insight. That would have been a big clanger when that landed, wouldn't it?
It hurt. I cried. I'm like, "Oh my god, I've done this to me. I can't blame anyone else anymore."
Yeah.
Well, I can, but that doesn't go forward. You don't go forward with that, there's an accountability that you need to take, but geez, it hurts when you realize that it's not everyone doing things to you, it's you doing it to everyone. You then project this anger that people then are triggered by and react to you. So it's not them, it's you. Yeah.
Wow. And so what's it like now then? 'Cause you've done the journey and you've unpacked that world for yourself. You've written a book to help others. What's it like now?
Now it is like the world is a whole different world. I don't um I don't fall asleep when life gets too hard. I don't have migraines. I don't have body pains all the time. I can sit in a room and not want to run away. My anxiety doesn't make my eyes water so much that I can't hold a conversation. So my world is very different. I actually love holding a space. I can actually hold a space for people now without reacting to them,
Mm.
without being triggered by them. And my body doesn't hurt. I think that's my biggest I
Yeah.
love life is so nice when you're not in pain all the time. I can laugh with people, I can laugh at myself to a point, and it's still hard.
Mm.
It's still a difficult one to laugh, and it depends, if people are because perfectionists attack themselves so much, it doesn't take much for someone else to say something that takes you right over the edge. So I'm very, it's hard to be criticized still. But I don't have to be friends with everybody now. That was the perfect world. I had to be perfect with everybody. I,
Mm.
I don't have that. I don't have to. I think the hardest thing is also boundaries. Because it was always my fault, I was the one that was wrong in my inner critic's mind. I had no boundaries. People walked all over me. So now I that line is a lot clearer, and I feel good to hold a boundary to people and say no, which in the past I would have, my inner critic would have absolutely chastised me for, how dare you think that you are not the problem. My God, it's a whole different world, and I just love, showing people that there's another way. It
Yeah.
makes my heart sing when I can show people that there is some other way of doing this, and this is how you got here, and maybe you could try this, and it's so great. It's so cool. I really love it.
That's amazing. I love it too, and I know you've done a lot of work through the horses and other animals too, haven't you, as well?
Yeah, I did for a brief time do some animal communicating as a bit of a business, but it's more now for me. I get my guidance a lot from animals. I think it just works out that way. That's where the path I've gone. So yeah.
Fantastic. So I guess the big question is, we've talked about, what it was like to be a full-blown probably mostly unaware, and then suddenly, the clangor hit. But an unaware perfectionist to now a completely aware person who not only understands what's going on, understands yourself, love yourself for who you are, and can interact with the world and enjoy the world. There's two positions here. How did you move from one to the other? How did you move to where you are today?
Wow, it's a big question. Well, look, I wanted to be in a place of joy instead of a place of constant pain, and I wanted to have fun again, and or just to be in a world where I could connect with people and feel and just have a fun time with people and follow what I wanted to do without my inner critic and everything stopping me and making life just hard. I just
Yeah.
wanted a place where life was fun. I had a goal once where where I wanted to speak on stage and
Mm.
actually enjoy it, just have fun. And that was my entire goal. I joined Toastmasters and I did. I came second in this competition, and I just had tons of fun, and I did well, and I just it was such a big deal for me to get on stage and just have a laugh and have just everything just roll and be okay with it all, and have fun. So I think a lot of patterns for people. So there's changing your thought patterns and changing a lot of our perfectionists suppress everything to look like this perfect person. So you suppress everything. A lot of it you don't really realize you're suppressing at all, like your opinions, your emotions. And so you've got a body that's just this volcano of erupted emotions that's stuck, and that comes out as sickness, pain, it comes out as, passive aggression. It comes out. It always comes out. So for me, I needed to work on those triggers and heal those triggers and actually not suppress them and work out speak when I was upset with something without emotion, which is so hard. My gosh, so hard. Before you get so angry that it just rumbles out with this rageous volcano. It's to actually do that with a grounded space and just say it and
Yeah.
be okay with the reaction of someone else and like, oh my god, they're going to, the conflict. That's really challenging. And so just to practice that, and the horses have really been an amazing adventure for me with, a lot of this is vibration, a lot of energy work, and horses help you practice, speaking from a grounded space to a horse to get them to move, for example, just to get them to do an activity without emotion, you get a result. If you do it with emotion, they just go, nah. Whereas a human will react according to their social conditioning. You can be but a horse will give you exactly will show you exactly what energy you're giving off. And I think as a perfectionist, you don't know that you're angry and you're giving off all this anger. You don't know that you're suppressing all this stuff and it's coming out sideways. So a horse will show you. And so it's been a beautiful way to see exactly why people react to me the way they have, or how I can change that. But also just healing those triggers. So when I get angry or upset or annoyed with somebody, it's they've they've caused something in me to churn, and it's something in me to look at. When I first started that, my God, I churn all the time. And so it was like a constant, like, okay, let's breathe into this, let's heal this bit. But it was just overwhelming to start with because I was in a constant state of, anger suppression or being triggered by people. The only way I stopped reacting to people was to be away from people, which is really lonely, and I love being with people, but I would get so upset and with everything, and so I need to escape to stop this turmoil, so yeah, so just sitting with people and not reacting has been a massive journey, but God was so worth it. But a lot of work, yeah.
But it's such a tribute to your determination and willingness, right? I think that's a big part of when you discover something about yourself, and you made a good point earlier that we're the last ones to find out, aren't we, about our stuff? Everyone else can see it. But to bring it into your own awareness and to see it and be willing to see it, and then not go into that number one of judgment and critic and self-abuse around it, to just own it and then start to kind of slowly work through it. I think that really takes you know a, a real strength in oneself, and you've done it. And I think as a number one, I do know I know a lot of number ones, as you know, we've got some mutual
Mm.
friends, and it's a really tough gig because of the kind of the alignment to perfection. We won't say the need to be perfect because it's such an interesting concept, this whole number one, but that sort of alignment to perfection, that it exists or doesn't exist, or whatever it is. But you've done the journey, and let's talk about that sort of moment when it first landed. Like, there'll be some listeners today who are listening to this going, "Oh my God, that's me." Well, if it is you, stay tuned because there's a moment when we all find out our number, and we all feel pretty chewed over when we do. I know I did. You sit there and you just go, "Oh my goodness, have I been doing this all my life?" And that awareness drops. Like, tell us about that moment where it landed for you and what that felt like, because I know for me it wasn't pretty, but then it gives you that, as you said, a sense of, well, I've done it to myself. I can take it from here. But take us to that moment. How did it feel?
I think there are two times that I can think of. One where I was in a group counseling, a group scenario, and people were talking. Like it actually, the whole concept of people reacting to you was
Mhm.
foreign to me, totally foreign. That I did something that you reacted to, like what? And I had been projecting all this stuff, all this anger, all this the way that it was, the way that it is. So this self-righteousness and judgment, and I had no concept that people reacted to that and put up with that. And I was I was so upset that I'd hurt so many people. I'm gonna cry. I was so upset.
Oh,
And I stopped talking because I knew that I was going to say something horrible, and I would upset someone, and I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to say it. Um, so that was one time. And the other time was when we did a regressive kind of journey back to, uh, you know, our belief system and how it was set up through our, naught to whoever you believe, naught to 7 years, naught to 6, whatever it is,
yeah.
to 4. And that I'd taken on this, and I then lived my life by these values, and I had made my world related to these values. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is all me. And it was I walked out of the room, went to because we were in a dorm kind of, it was a weekend workshop, and we were staying on campus, and we had a break after that, and I went to my room and pulled my eyes out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is all, this pain is all from me. And it was heartbreaking, I think. But
Mm.
I realized, so with the intuitive work, I could practice sitting in a space and talk from that space, and it was clear and it was true. People may not like it, but I knew that it came from a space of heart, so I wasn't coming from my agenda space. I wasn't coming from my anger space. And so I knew it was true. And so I started to gain confidence in speaking again. And with the horses, as I said before, I get to practice speaking clearly without emotion, which is another step ahead, and looking at what the horse does and how they connect with you, or how they don't connect with you, and then relate that to life. So I think that was my biggie, you know. Still to a point, as I grow, as you grow, you leave people behind, and that's my inner critic kicks in a little. I'm like, what did you do this time? And it takes people to say to me, Kristen, it's maybe not you. I'm like, I know, but it still feels that way. So, the stuff still comes up, of course, and you deal with the next layer because there's multiple layers forever.
Yeah, that's right.
However, I can click out of it quicker, and I can let it go quicker, and I can, not just dive into this spiral of depression and need to escape the world quicker. So I don't do that anymore, which is really lovely.
Oh, what a blessing. Well, it's all, all hard work that you've done that's got you there. So, yeah, well done. Look,
Thanks.
we can't talk about a number one and not talk about how great they are, though, right? So, no, seriously, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I say that. When in many roles and contracting opportunities I've had, or people who get me in to teach the Enneagram. But I've had teams where I'd teach them, and there was always gonna be a 1 there, right? You've always got 1s, 9s, plenty of 9s.
Yeah.
But anyway, the great thing about 1s is their ability with detail. Everybody has to have a 1 around them. And I'd be, working amongst a team and go, "Where's my number 1? I've got some stuff I need checked." And they'd happily, because 'cause they've done this workshop with me, right, happily walk over with their chest out, "I'll do it for you." And it's like, you know why? Because they are so good at things like that. I mean, I can imagine you'd be so good, and it's probably what drove you nuts about the book, writing a book, because you just pay so much attention to detail, and nothing gets missed with a number 1. They're just amazing. So, what are the other awesome attributes about a number 1 that you can share with our listeners?
Awesome attributes is do that's a toughie. Oh, I'm just gonna cut that one out.
We are not cutting that out.
Oh gosh, it's taken me a long time to come to that.
Yeah. Understandable though, right? Because the first thing you do is you critique yourself
Yeah,
and make
that's
it.
right, and
Yeah.
see it as a bad thing with everything. So, I think we're direct. I think we stand up for people. And which is a good thing. We like to see the underdog, win. We like to
Yeah.
see right. We like to see balance. We like to see people have a fair go. I think that I think that's I still think obviously think that's important. That's a value of mine to help. Um, yeah, it's a toughie. I haven't been there for so long, but it's really yeah.
But I think, as a number 1, because we're driven through that sort of seeking perfection, or being, being appearing right, or appearing, let's say the word perfect, but that's not really what it's about. But you do acquire skills. There's no question. Life has set you up with a whole lot of skills, and that's your ability to observe is so amazing. You observe so much because you're kind of on that, more hypersensitive to what's going on around you, and you're picking the right timing, you're picking the right place. Do you know what I mean? So there's all these skills that you acquire as you become a number 1. But
Yeah, actually, now that you say it, so I have a great ability to read people. Like I read people really well.
yeah,
I can sit back and hold a space for people. I can pull apart a room and reorganize it seamlessly. I can
Yeah.
pack up a house into a small container easily. I do have those skills. I quite like those skills. Yes.
Yeah, they're amazing, and I think
Mm.
we can't throw out the baby with the bathwater, as we start to heal those, the reactive part of our Enneagram numbers, we also allowed that great part of ourselves to emerge, which is all those capabilities and skills that we acquire as we're kind of living this sort of false sense of how the world should be and how we should be. But
Mm.
I think they're amazing. Like I take my hat off to number one seriously because when I'm doing things, I don't need it to be perfect, just need to get it done, because that's my my number. We'll get to that later. But, it's so lovely to see their skills at work where they can just do things amazingly, like, quickly and with accuracy and detail, and I can imagine your mind just works, really well and has it all sorted before you even start things. It's just an amazing skill set. So
I think, there's a lot of, as you say, a lot of detail that it's you can put detail into a format quite easily. Like
mm,
goal set, chunk it down quite easily.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I guess for the listeners, the invitation is always about, is your, predisposition to being a perfectionist helping you or is it harming you? That's, only will the people know themselves, like, does it bring me pain? Like, as you were saying, it was headaches, it was, like, physical pain, emotional pain. If it's bringing you pain and then it's time to kind of look at that and see what's true and what's not true and to do the work to kind of unpack that part of our identity that has us react based on things we believed when we were kids,
Mm.
So it's worth it, isn't it?
It definitely is, and I think I think you've shown quite nicely there that it's um it's uh it's probably difficult for a perfectionist to see that they can do anything well because we're constantly attacking. But when you actually have a good look at things and really have a look at your skills, you can see that you have some amazing skills that
Yeah.
some people, I guess I'm just used to people laughing at them, so I just don't say them. But they are beneficial if you can get your head out of it and finish it too, because it's hard to because sometimes you don't stop a task because it's not ever finished. So that's
Yeah.
tricky. Yeah, but
Yeah, it is tricky. Good on you. Well, look, thanks so much for coming today and having a talk to us about what it's like to be a number one in the Enneagram, how you've moved from where you were to where you are today and how different it feels. I mean, that's a fantastic thing for our listeners to know that there is a different way to be in the world and it doesn't have to be full of sort of self-judgment and pain and the painful relationship with people in the world. So that's fantastic. And I guess what I'd love you to do is to share how people can get in touch with you or at least get a hold of this book of yours. And I also know that you've told me that you're releasing a course or a training that you're about to do. Tell us all about that. And of course, I will put all of the information in the show notes.
oh, that's fabulous. Thanks. You can contact me. I'm on Instagram at Kristen Ableson. I have a link tree, Kristen Ableson, that you'll have as well, which has my details. The book is available on Amazon Australia, and USA, obviously. And the course is. People have said to me, the book that I wrote is for perfectionists about you know, looking at the qualities of a perfectionist and how you can start to move away from it and start to heal yourself and listen to your intuition. The course that I've just released is intuition, practical ways to harness it and actually utilize that intuition and increase the volume of that, decrease the volume of your inner critic and increase the volume of your intuition so you can actually make some better decisions. Because sometimes as a perfectionist, We fall into procrastination quite well. And it's nice to hear your intuition and actually trust it, start to trust it. And I think that's something we don't do well either. So it's a way, it's an online course, and I think it'll be fabulous for people. So thank you for helping me share it.
Oh, absolutely. And I will put all those details in the show notes, as I said. But can you tell us the name of the book so people can look it up?
The book is called Better Than Perfect,
Oh, what a great name.
and it
Oh,
has
that's
a
awesome.
it has the cover is the old Japanese way. I can't think of the name of it, where
Oh,
they put
when they put gold in
put
the
gold into all the cracks of
yes.
putting things together. So
Oh.
which is lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I just got goosebumps all over my body. That is such a beautiful picture to have on that book. It is absolutely priceless. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And, you know, you and I have traveled a long way on our journeys, and it's so lovely for you to share that with our listeners and encourage them to take those steps on the way and don't feel that, it won't come easy. None of it comes easy because you're unwinding a lifetime full of beliefs and etc. But it does happen and things do change and life does become a much better place to live in. So thanks, Kristen. Thanks so much for that, and see you later. I hope you loved today's episode and it provides value to you and your business. There are 2 quick things you can do to pay it forward. 1, share this episode with other women you know and love. And 2, take 30 seconds to leave a review on Apple Podcast. This will enable more women in business to receive this valuable information. Let's share the love. Finally, go to quickwinsforbusiness.com, get your free business checklist and join our private Facebook community where I'll be sharing additional quick win tools. Let's work together. Join me here next week with another exciting episode sharing more quick wins for your business. Have a great day.